There are currently 11 throwers in Brawl Stars, and while Brawl Stars has mainly put the throwers in the artillery class, we do have 3 here that are part of the controllers or the support classes. However, I'm going to just ignore that class designation for today, and I'm going to pit all of these brawlers 1v1 versus each other in a series of 10 tests to find out which one of these throwers is the most versatile, which one is the best. To start off, I made a simple obstacle course. This will test the brawlers on their mobility, and while most throwers don't have to worry about this too much as they can just hide behind the wall, when you have an Edgar leaping on you, okay, actually in that case you just die, but it is nice to be able to make some moves when you need to. The bottom 4 brawlers though don't have anything to help them move other than a hypercharge, so they all tie for 7th place. Larry is able to dash a bit with his gadget to get 6th place, but that doesn't compare to Barry's super, which propels him up to 5th place with a very good time. Grom, however, gets some speed from his star power, and then with a wall break, it gets him close to a 15-second time, but Ziggy's teleport, it shaves a few seconds off of that for a 13.5-second time, which is good enough for 3rd place. Juju just has a cheat mode where she can ignore the walls completely, as well as a speed boost on the water for 11 seconds and 2nd place. But if you've ever watched an obstacle course video of mine, you know that Dynamite is a beast at these. A super for the first wall and jump over the second, and Dynamite easily comes in 1st place. So after the first test, these are the standings. Now, at the end, we will average all of the test results to find a winner, but first, they have to get through Frank. But before Frank, let me tell you about today's sponsor. Cookie Run Oven Smash is out and ready for you to download right now. I've been playing it and it is a lot of fun, so thanks to Dev Sisters for sponsoring today's video. Cookie Run Oven Smash is a fun take on a PvP action battle mobile game. You get to choose from a bunch of different cookies, all with their own unique abilities and styles. From the sword-wielding red velvet cookie to the long-range mage blue slushy cookie, which is one of my favorites so far. You unlock new cookies pretty darn fast, so you get to try them all out and even get new costumes for them and customize each section of that outfit individually, which is a really nice touch. They already have a handful of different game modes to try out, both solo or in team modes. A few of them include the classic free-for-all Wild Royale, where the last one standing wins, to the whimsical Jelly Race, where you collect enough jellies to raise the flag first, as well as my personal favorite, Drop the Beat, which is a hardpoint style game mode, but based around karaoke that is super fast-paced and a lot of fun. So if you're a fan of arena battlers or Cookie Run in general, then this is a game that you need to go download right now, and you can do that by checking out the link in the description or the pinned comment. And once again, thanks to Dev Sisters for sponsoring today's video. The damage output for throwers goes from a slow trickle to crazy burst, so I had Frank collect 10 power cubes and then tested every brawler to see how long it's going to take for them to beat him. In last place, taking almost 15 seconds, we have Willow. The poison does deal some good damage, but it takes a while to really ramp up. Cutting her time in half is Sprout though, with a respectable 6 seconds. Surprisingly, Barley and his dangerous hypercharge take 5 seconds for 8th place, while Juju gets some help from Gree, but only good enough for 7th place. However, Grom doesn't need any help at all, mainly thanks to a gadget, and he locks down 6th place. Both Ziggy and Barry get an exact tie at 4.01 seconds for 4th place in a very impressive showing, but then we have some heavy hitters. Dynamite takes Frank down in under 4 seconds thanks to that massive explosive damage, while Larry brings out 2 brothers for a time that is just barely over 2 seconds. But the big surprise here is Tick. With his Mind Mania gadget combined with a hypercharge, Tick absolutely shreds Frank for a time that was lightning fast and secures 1st place. Looking at the results, besides Willow, every thrower actually did a pretty respectable job with some good times, proving that they can put out some burst damage when needed, which is a little surprising. One place the throwers usually do excel though is splash damage. To test that, we took those 10 power cubes Frank just picked up, but this time we let the throwers see how fast that they could break all of these boxes. The time starts when the first damage shows up and it ends when the last box breaks. From first all the way to worst, Tick is the slowest to open all of the boxes with his harder to target mines, but still gets the job done in under 10 seconds, which isn't horrible. Larry and Lori also fall short here as his brothers can't help out with this one, and his first shot is just too small to splash all of the boxes. But then we take a big leap with Juju. Her shot covers more ground and takes less than 6 seconds to break them all. Willow's shot is slightly larger, and once all of the poison builds up, those boxes just disintegrate. Sprout uses that hypercharged super and a gadget, getting cover on all of the boxes for some much needed extra damage, which locks down 6th place. However, Ziggy just needs one super to zap all of the boxes to dust. Barry smothers them in ice cream for a time under 4 seconds, but Barley's hyper super destroys these boxes real fast. Dynamite does it ever so slightly better for 2nd place, but Grom beats them all with a triple shot gadget and those piercing shots to walk away with a 2-second time and 1st place. While that damage is nice, you still have to be alive to dish it out. So I took these brawlers into the training cave to see how long that they could survive against the shooter bot. They can do anything that they want to survive as long as possible, as long as that doesn't include killing the bot itself. Tick once again finds himself in last place because besides a short shield, he has nothing to protect him and measly hit points on top of that. Juju has a shield as well, but she has more hit points to start and manages to last 18 seconds. Dynamite jumps some shots to land himself in 8th place, and Ziggy teleports his way to 7th. Willow just goes underground to avoid the damage completely, but when she comes up, the bot is still waiting for her. Larry's able to utilize his star power, transferring some damage to his brother and a gadget to heal, securing 5th place. Grom, however, does it one better as he gets 2 gadgets off, which block some shots and allow him to heal up a bit, which gets him 4th place. But topping them all, we have 3 brawlers who tie for number 1: Barley, Sprout, and Barry. They can all last forever in this spot. Barry can just heal himself enough to not even care about the damage, and Barley also has his star power that heals him every shot and a gadget on top to heal him even more. However, Sprout just places a wall, heals up, removes the wall, and has his super again ready to go for the next cooldown. So these 3 brawlers tie for 1st place with a survival time of infinity. One of the reasons why throwers can be so dang annoying is because they can just sit behind a wall where you can't even get to them. However, if you combine that protection with a bunch of range, it gets toxic real quick. So how do they stack up in terms of range? I have all of the brawlers arranged here from the shortest range with Barry in 10th place, Ziggy in 9th, and Willow in 8th, all the way up to the longest range with Tick. Now, granted, Tick's is just that one little mine that really reaches out, although it's usually that one that always just stops you from healing again and then drives you crazy. But yeah, Grom is right behind him with the splitting shots, and then there are 3 brawlers in the middle for 5th place. The next couple of tests are pure stats. First off, we have base hit points. Now, most throwers are on the lower side of hit points since they do have an advantage of walls to protect them, but it's always better to have a higher hit pool. And once again, Tick finds himself at the bottom with the lowest health in the game. Barry is next, followed by Barley, and then we have a 3-way tie for 5th place, coming in with 6,000 hit points with Grom, Dynamite, and Larry. Juju locks down 4th place, but we have a tie for 2nd between Ziggy and Sprout with a very respectable 6,400 hit points. And then topping them all off is actually Willow with 6,600, which definitely helps when you're getting pressed. But what if you want to make a brawler think twice about even attacking you? Well, the best way to do that is to hit them where it hurts and take a big chunk of their HP with a single shot. For this, I took the highest single shot that a brawler can deal without a gear or a hypercharge. Now, if they have a star power, that is allowed to help them out. However, unfortunately for Juju, she has neither, and Sprout just did barely better. Ziggy can deal 2,260 with his star power, and Larry and Laurie can deal 2,800 if both explosions hit. Grom with his X Factor star power deals just under 3k, but Dynamite deals that with every shot if both sticks hit. Barley can deal 3,600 if you get hit by both ticks of damage, and then everyone's favorite brawler deals an actual impressive 4,080 damage if all 3 mines connect, which of course usually doesn't happen, but technically it is possible. And speaking of technically, we have Barry. If someone decides to just stand in Barry's shot for the entire duration, it will deal almost 8,000 damage. I mean, nobody really does that, but technically it's possible, so we gotta count it. But how fast can they reel off those shots? The faster you can do that, the more chances you have to put a dent in that HP bar, so I tested them on how fast they reloaded a single shot. The timer started when the first bar fully filled and then stopped when the second bar was done charging. Barry was the slowest, but that sort of makes sense since his shots stay on the ground for so long. Tick and Larry, however, just barely beat him by the slimmest of margins. After that, there was Grom, who finished just over 2 seconds, followed by Willow with a 2-second time flat for 6th place. Barley comes in after her, with Ziggy just above him, claiming 4th place in this test. Then we have a bigger jump with Sprout coming in 3rd, Juju topping him for 2nd place, and then with a very narrow margin of victory, we have Dynamite coming in 1st place. Not only does he put out a lot of damage, but he can throw out those sticks real fast, which is a great combo. But what about base level interactions? These 1v1 matchups will test these brawlers in a few different things, not only in their damage and their health, but also in their burst. How fast can they unload their shots against another target? So with that, I created a randomly seeded bracket and put them against each other. Our first matchup is Ziggy versus Tick. Tick puts out crazy damage with all the mines, but Ziggy beats him by just a few frames. That sends Ziggy to face off against Grom, where the match is actually even closer. Ziggy beats Grom by literally 1 single frame, but that 1 frame is all it's going to take to move him along, where he'll face off against the winner of Dynamite and Larry. Both of these brawlers can dish out the damage, but Larry, he's served defeat, and Dyna goes on to face Ziggy. Ziggy has been barely winning matches, but here, Dyna 2-shots him to move on to the championship round. But who will he face there? Well, that's what the bottom half of this bracket is for. And down there, we're going to find Sprout versus Barley against each other in our first match. Once again, we have a very close match, but Sprout wins by just the skin of his teeth. Except he has no skin. And he has no teeth. Whatever the case, he's facing Barry next, and at this close range, Barry gets some healing of his own, and that's enough to send Sprout packing. With that, Barry moves on to face the winner of Willow and Juju. In a slow and rather pathetic fight, Willow watches Juju wither away as she moves along to face Barry. Willow just barely beat Juju, but here she stands no chance as Barry gets the win and moves on to the championship round to face Dynamite. But before that, we need to find out who got 3rd place between Ziggy and Willow. Ziggy's matches have been close all day, but here he's on the losing side, and with that, Willow gets 3rd place. So then on to the final match, we have Dynamite versus Barry. Once again, Barry does get some of his healing, and that saves him, and Mike needs 1 more shot, but that 1 shot seals the deal, and Dynamite is the winner. So that means that Dynamite is 1st, Barry is 2nd, Willow 3rd, and Ziggy 4th. And because Sprout actually won a round, we're going to move him into 5th place, while all of the other brawlers didn't even manage to win a single match, so they get last place. So then on to our final test, but this one is a subjective one, however, one that does matter. I asked 2 pro players to rank these throwers from best to worst. One of them is a world champion, and the other one has been on that world stage multiple times. In other words, they know what they're talking about, for sure more than you or I do. They were both in agreement that the best thrower in the meta right now is Ziggy. His area control is just too dang good to overlook. Combined with a really oppressive gadget, he is a top pick right now. On the flip side of things, we have Dynamite. Bobby rated him as the worst thrower, and Semantic put him at number 9. Not a good look, Dynamite. But we did have some disagreements in there as well. Sprout was ranked as number 2 overall by Semantic, but number 7 by Bobby. Although Semantic did tell me that that rating was mainly because Sprout can be a really strong last pick in ranked if the draft works out. Both agreed that Juju was the 3rd best, as well as they both found Willow to be useful on some maps, but rather mid overall. So then, once you average the results of every test, these are the final rankings for the most versatile thrower in Brawl Stars. In 10th place, we have the brawler that everyone loves to hate, Tick. With an average finish of 6.72, the numbers did not treat Tick well. And the pros weren't high on him either. Despite many of his drawbacks though, he will continue to be a decent brawler and one that, given the right matchup, can control a game and drive you insane. We have a tie in the next spot between Larry and Lori and Willow. While Bobby valued Larry much higher than Semantic did, and vice versa for Willow, both of these brawlers have their place. Larry is more of an all-around brawler, while Willow can be just absolutely evil in Brawl Ball if the map and the matchup allows. While they tied for 8th place, they're both pretty solid brawlers. Then once again, we have a tie between the next 2 brawlers, Barley and Grom. Grom's shots are much easier to dodge, and he has 0 chance of defending himself at close range. Personally speaking, I think that he's probably the worst thrower in the game right now, but I can't deny the power of his super. It's really good, and especially his hypercharge. Barley, however, it just seems like a classic choice. Area denial and utility highlight this brawler. You can defend yourself with a gadget, or you can heal up your team if you'd rather do that. His hypercharge is very deadly, and that supercharge is quick. With him being in the middle of the pack, it feels like a pretty good spot for a very reliable brawler. In 5th place, we have Juju. She's just the queen of versatility. Water walking, slowing brawlers, going invisible and assassinating somebody by surprise, or using her tanky spawnable super gives her great use in almost every situation. Much more niche, but very strong, is our number 4 brawler, Barry. While he's mainly used in heal comps or in heist, he isn't picked as much these days, but when he's good, he is very, very good, and that alone propels him to 4th place. But perhaps the most surprising one here is Sprout at number 3. Sprout has one of the most unique abilities in the game, but aside from niche picks or trolling your teammates, he doesn't get a lot of use on most games. He has a hard time defending himself, and his damage is kind of lackluster. The range and the explosion at the end of that shot definitely help him out, and he can be a good last pick and draft, but I mean, the numbers don't lie. Sprout did better than I thought he would. But a brawler that did better than even the pros thought is Dynamite. The pros placed him in 9th and 10th place respectively, but here he is in spot number 2. And you know what? This time, I side with the numbers. Maybe he's not the greatest pick when you stack him up to the usefulness and versatility of all the other throwers, but sometimes you just gotta let that TNT fly. I mean, let Dyna cook. No other thrower can hurt your health bar like a Dynamite super. And no other thrower can damage your pride like when he stuns you out of a bush and you're left facing inevitable death. He's just fun to play, so I'm good with him at number 2. However, one that we can all agree on is the number 1 brawler. With an average finish of 4.26, as well as being ranked number 1 by the pros, it's clear. It's Ziggy. The only downside to this brawler is that his main shot can be easier to dodge, but other than that, he has so many tools at his disposal to put an enormous amount of pressure on the other team. And because of that, he's earned his spot at number 1. Which class do you want me to do next?